as I mentioned, we did have JIT on last week. Really, really cool to see what JIT was all about. And we talked about the concepts of minimal viral security, and we talked about how to secure bootstraps within your startup with AWS, which was absolutely awesome. Today's stream, we're going to stick with JIT, like I mentioned, and we're going to be building on the previous episode, because this is really now all about DevSecOps and how we can secure our organization from the app, from first lines of code. And then we're going to go through the whole business landscape as well. So let me just change screens. So I've got about 4 or 5 different screens over here. I'm going to bring on David, and I'm going to bring on Shira as well. So please welcome our 2 special guests, David and Shira. Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Doing great.
Good. Do you want to go first, Shira, and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So, hi, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here today. I'm Shira. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Solvo. I'm also the co-chair of OWASP Israel. I'm sure most of our audience know what OWASP is about. OWASP supports developers worldwide and helps them to deliver better and more secure applications. I think that one of the topics we will be discussing later is how the cloud impacts the work of the developers and also the work of building secure applications. Solvo is helping the security teams to secure their data and infrastructure throughout that process.
I love that. How about you, David? For those that are just joining this week?
Yeah, so for those who weren't here last week, we had a lot of fun. I'm still the co-founder and the CTO at JIT.
You're still, that's good to know.
I'm still, they didn't change the job since last week. And I'm thrilled to be here again with you, Stuart and Adrian, and with Shira this week. This week, we'll take you to a more concrete example, and we'll show how you can secure an application in your CI/CD. And yes, I'll show you a demo, so stick until the end. A little bit about JIT, what we're doing. So we talked about security plans and security programs. At JIT, we're a cybersecurity startup. What we do is basically take those security plans, so basically the list of a lot of requirements in terms of security that usually are on paper, we codify them, and we automate and accelerate those security programs. So for example, if you're talking about product security, we'll see some example in this episode about everything in DevSecOps, like in the AppSec world, runtime application. We'll see a lot of different examples. So we are taking all these different areas, and we built a DevSecOps orchestration platform where we're packaging the best open source tools around all these different areas that we'll see in this episode. So if we're looking to security domains, this is actually interesting because you have only a few domains. You have the identity and access, you have the code, you have the data, you have the infrastructure, and you have logging monitoring, which can be also seen as part of the infra.
The managed services that they're using. So they know that Lambda is like this ephemeral thing that runs code, but they don't really read and understand what is the input and what is the output and what is going to happen to this output when it is pushed to the next service or to the next stop along this chain.
Before I actually show some recommendation, there is one interesting question that everyone needs to ask themselves. Which tool should I pick and how should I pick my tools, basically? And so there are a couple of domains or ways to decide that I would like to share with you, and I'm sure we'll have a nice discussion about it. One would be result quality, the DevX, the maturity, and the customizability of the tool. So going back to that, actually, I wanted to have a quick discussion regarding the pros and cons of using open source tools. And for the pros, this is what I wrote. Basically, it's free. It's easy to integrate, as you saw. It's community driven, which is good and bad. You'll see in a minute. And it's extensible. But on the cons, it's actually a high effort to productize that. Community driven is good, but also if there's issues that are not fixed, like basically you're still with the same issues, and so you may have problems there. No unified experience. Work hard for that. And most of the tools are actually focusing on detection and less on remediation. And for engineers, what matters is basically fixing my stuff. Like detection is nice, but it only adds more work for me. So if I don't have any remediation, that's actually hard. If you're looking at a product, you can have a first offering that is only based on open source tools. First of all, because they're great tools. And here, what we want to do is basically alleviate and overcome the issues of having to update all the time the tools and seeing different experiences across the tools. They're speaking different languages. So we'll really unify the experience across all these different tools. And we're providing this great experience for the developers by adding comments in PR comments for all the vulnerabilities. And so instead of going to the logs or looking at the artifacts, you're getting and developers are getting automatically in the PR, like any review of their peer, they're getting all the information about the vulnerabilities just in time, hence our name, JIT, just in time for them to fix it before they actually get their PR merged.
I love that.
And also you have the back of a company. This is not a community project. So you trust the G team to keep on maintaining this.
Security plan. We're starting with that. One of them being like the OWASP Top 10. We're taking those plans, we're automating them, and as you can see, we're providing a really wide range of tools across the different domains that we've been seeing today.
What advice would you give to developers who are just starting to learn about serverless security? What's the top tip?
I think that attending events like this, and then David was sharing the code for the little application that he built, then leveraging that, or OWASP also has some tutorials with vulnerable applications, especially there is a known project around serverless security. So take one of these projects, run them not in the production environment, in a dedicated sandbox account, play with it, understand what these vulnerabilities mean, so that when you build your code and you build your application, you will have those vulnerabilities in mind.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the OWASP resources are really great. The OWASP Top 10 includes a lot of different examples and attack vectors that you may not think about. And so it's great to read about it, experiment with the open source tool that has been built, like the vulnerable serverless application that is from OWASP. I think it's a great place to start. There are books about it also. So this is where I would start.
So you're going to be joining us again next week, David, right?
Yes, because next week we'll take this application, we'll deploy it to the cloud, to AWS, to the wild, and there we'll talk about misconfiguration, what you need to do there, CI/CD pipeline, everything. That will be a tremendous last episode to close the loop.